most men are now in hiding. Most men are now in hiding. So, guys, because of all of this extreme misogyny stuff, you already know in the UK, men will now be arrested. Men and boys will be arrested if they're even suspected of being susceptible to misogyny. And this is a very serious issue. As a result, more men are dropping out of society or just walking away. Our mgtow. Watching this video to fully understand the implications of how and why men are in hiding, and how this is going to affect society and how society is actually responding to it. And now let's just jump into this first video.
Cooper, who is the Home Secretary, she is saying that extreme misogyny will be treated as terrorism for the first time under government plans to combat the radicalisation of young men online. She's ordered a review of Britain's counter-terrorism strategy to urgently address gaps in the government's stance and to look at tackling violence against women and girls in the same way as Islamist and far-right extremism, amid fears that current Home Office guidance is too narrow. Well, let's ask the opinion of Aisha Ali Khan. She's a human rights and women's rights campaigner. Aisha, thank you for joining me this afternoon. What do you make of this proposal from Yvette Cooper, the Home Secretary?
Hi. So we've been talking about something like this for the last, 4 or 5 years now. And every time this kind of idea comes to the table and we discuss it, we get comments like the comment you just read out saying, violence against women and, that kind of domestic abuse should not fall under the category of terrorism. And I think what we've definitely seen has been a massive increase in young people being radicalized online, especially young men. And these men have been, they're unhappy, they can't get a relationship, and they fall under the category of incels, which stands for involuntary celibate. Basically,
so these are young men who can't get a relationship. They are incels, involuntary celibates, as you say, and they hate women as a result of this, and they fall into or go there voluntarily. We can talk about in a second, but they're certainly very, very misogynistic and sometimes violently misogynistic. I wonder what
true. These are men who would love to have a relationship with women, and for some reason they can't, and then they end up blaming not just women, but not just a particular woman, but all women, and the rise of feminism and so on. So they feel very hard done by, very angry, very upset, and those feelings are turning into basically towards violence to punish these women, to punish all women, and that's something that Yvette Cooper and obviously previously we've spoken to the sort of people around this legislation as well, how to tackle this. So it's been formally, we hope that it's going to be formally recognised.
You see, guys, why they're going after the manosphere right now has nothing to do with misogyny. It has nothing to do with being concerned about the welfare of women and girls. It has everything to do with silencing and controlling men. Most men in the manosphere right now are really focused on themselves. They're focusing on self-development, but more so they're also focusing on society and the way things work. They're sharing knowledge. They're coming together. They're looking at the governments and institutions around us, the corporations that control us, that control our thinking, that try to control our minds and our bodies. They're asking questions. They're bringing knowledge. And that's what they don't want. They don't want a group of people that are well-informed. They don't want a group of people that can think for themselves. They don't want this. They want mindless drones, people who are just smart enough to do as they're told, all right, but too dumb to actually think about, why are they doing what they're being told to do? This is pretty much it. And guys, George Carlin said this years ago. He said it. They want it all, and they are going to get it all. They want everything, all right? Because they won't stop until they get enough. And there's no such thing as having enough. There's no such thing. They are never, ever going to stop. They will never stop until they have everything for themselves, until they have all the toys. And who are the ones who are really responsible for this? The boomers. The boomers, okay? The boomers who are so desperate. They're afraid of passing away. They're afraid of everything around them, and they want to make life harder for everyone else. Who are the people sitting at the top of these companies, of these institutions? The boomers. They on a daily basis, I've got these people here threatening me, or demanding that I stop blaming them or speaking about them. In some cases, even saying that, what we would call child abuse today made us stronger, so we shouldn't complain because the boomers introduced us to reality, even though they don't want to face the reality of poverty and destitution right now because they didn't plan for retirement. Guys, as a result of what's happening around us, most men have pulled away from society. Guys are leaving the United States, leaving Western societies. They've been doing this for a long time in Australia. They've been doing this in various countries throughout the EU. Men are walking away. If they want to be in a relationship, they're going overseas and finding a Filipina or a Latina or an Eastern European woman, or they're even going to Africa and finding a nice lady from Africa from a traditional home and starting a family that way. Or they're leaving just to find their peace. They may not even be interested in a relationship. They just don't want to be in their societies anymore, where they are hated for simply existing. You have to understand that we are in Western society, men, specifically heterosexual men, are more hated than the cockroach. We are treated like subhumans. We are viewed as subhumans. We are not wanted, but they want our attention, our time, and our money. Okay? they absolutely despise us and have nothing but disdain for us. She mentioned the incels, but there's something that they don't talk about: the femcells. Who are femcells? Well, the incels are involuntary celibate men who are not able to get into a relationship. But what are femcells? Femcells are basically women who simply hate men and do not want to be in a relationship with them. That's a femcell. When a man says things like this, or even says, anything they deem misogynistic, because they question the status quo. They are demonized, and now they are being branded as terrorists, and they will be dragged off in the UK and by the Department of Terror and investigated and held and stripped of their human rights. But it is quite normal for women to say even worse. And I mean, things like hashtag, delete all men. Do you remember that? Give your money to women. If you look at feminism, the literature is littered with instances where they've called for, the reduction of the male population down to about 10% to make it more manageable. These are big parts of feminist theory. And I don't blame feminism. I keep on telling you guys, do not blame feminism for what's happening here right now. Okay? Blame the individual. Hold the individual responsible. Feminism did not make women make these decisions. Women chose to make the decisions that they've made. So don't blame feminism. Feminism is just an ideology. Feminism is just the concept of equality between men and women, or so we've been told. The individuals themselves are the ones that have done these things. They're the ones that continue to do these things. Feminism did not take advantage of women. Women took full advantage of feminism, and we have to hold the individuals responsible. There was a comment on one of my videos, and that actually inspired this video. It was from Shane, and he says, right now, Angry, it's best to just stay low because I'm sure they want to know who are the men behind the Manosphere videos, causing men to wake up. Look at the Tate brothers. They went straight to them because they know who they were and where they live. This is exactly true. You see, guys, we live in a world of influence, and the more influence you have over others, the more money, wealth, and resources you can extract for them, and the easier it is to control them. At one point, Andrew was the most Googled man on the planet. Think about the notion of this, all right? So they immediately said, we have to stop him from gaining additional influence. And what did they do? They tried to strip him of his money, of his resources. They put him in jail on charges that have absolutely no basis. This is what happened to him. And they're continuing to do it. He's now back under home arrest, and he's being investigated for relationships even with...
Okay, I kind of want to say something. 1, Andrew Tate is a dumbass. 2, is he a misogynist? Hell yes, absolutely, he is a misogynist. Granted, I would say most of the people in the red pill videos are not misogynists. They're just people calling out, hey, this is unfair, look at the statistic, that sort of stuff. They're not violent people, they're not calling for violence. Heck, the worst thing is like there was this undead zombie dude. Heck, why don't I just say the name? Undead Chronic. Worst thing he said, dude, is like if society's burning, don't help anybody. Just stay home, smoke weed, and drink mead. Never had mead before. I'm not really a drinker. I like Pepsi. Then I'm the kind of person like, I'm the most evil person because I look outside, I'm like, we've never had a hurricane here. I'm just like, okay, I like to sit out on the porch and watch the rain when there's storming, okay? Okay, I'm getting off track. Again, do I have ADHD? Do I have autism? I don't know. I'm not sure how you test that either. I don't know, maybe I'm just eccentric? I don't know. What we talk? All right, Andrew Tate. Andrew Tate's dumbass. And I'll say this. While I'd say most red pill people are not misogynists, though some of them are like of different opinion. Like take Undead Chronic. Few things we disagree on. He's against the 19th Amendment. Whereas me, I'm egalitarian. I think everyone deserves equal rights. Everyone should be able to vote. I'm pro-Israel. He is not. It's not like he has anything against him. He just doesn't really want to have anything to do with him. Unless they offered him money. Like, honestly, if Israel offered him money to, do whatever for their cause, whether it's say something good on their side or even fight in their wars, all they had to do is just pay him enough. Give him land, give him whatever he asks for. So then the day... Though honestly, I don't know that... Yeah. It's like, then I would say it's not really saying anything mean to say. I mean, I don't know if there's any country I'd want to fight in a war for. In general, I just I don't like following orders. I don't like being told what to do. But the other thing is I'm pro-LGBT, and he's not a big fan, but like I said, you don't have to agree with somebody on every stance they have. Besides, I tend to feel listening to him is a good way to improve my ability to, well, understand how to be assertive. Heck, I consider him probably better than what any college professor who has actual jobs to teach, like, say, debating or something like that. Heck, my debate teachers are basically a random person who's an undead zombie who smokes kush, and two twins from the game How to Date a Magical Girl. But both of them got hung from a tree. Okay, everyone's like, you're going off topic. I know. It's a Let's Play I did. Heck, I made a joke about the main character, Takumi Nishijo, from the game Chaos Head Noah that I Let's Played as being a bit of a misogynist. Because some of the stuff he said was kind of a little bit, just makes you think, like, what the fuck's happening? Okay, but, wait, we're talking about Andrew Tate. Basically, Andrew Tate's a fucking dumbass. He's just a grifter. He's just a guy who's just trying to make money by conning people. Heck, the best way to make money in the world is just sell hope to stupid people. But main thing is this. Most of the red pill people are not misogynists. Is Andrew Tate a misogynist? Hell yes. He absolutely is. Should he go to prison for being a misogynist? No. Should he go to prison for the human trafficking? Yes. So he should be in prison. Just not for misogyny. Like, I don't think he should go to prison for that. Like, I don't think that should be considered a crime to have an opinion. It's like saying, can you arrest someone for being racist? Obviously, if you do something bad as a result of being racist, yes, you should go to prison. But you can't arrest someone for being racist. Like, oh, this person has this belief about something. It's like saying, okay, whether or not you believe in Jesus or not. Like, I think it's very virtuous for people to believe in Christ, but I don't think it should ever be illegal. I don't think anyone should ever be forced to believe in God. I think it would be good for people to believe in God, but I don't think anyone should be forced. And heck, I don't think anyone should be punished in this life or the next for who they do or do not believe in. So if someone doesn't believe in God, I don't think they should go to hell. And if someone doesn't believe in God, I don't think they should be punished in any way for it. Heck, though, I would say this. I do suggest to people, even if you're atheist, to read the Bible. Just because, well, in general, I tend to be somebody who just really likes reading. So, it's kind of like, take the Odyssey, the story by Homer. Heck, there's a movie called, well, obviously the Odyssey. It stars a dude named Armand Asante. Like 1997, it was a 3-hour-long movie. It's a really, really good movie. I'd also suggest, like, the original Broly movie and Batman vs. Superman. I actually did like Batman vs. Superman. And I thought the whole Martha thing was actually good story writing. I also like Schindler's List. That's a good movie, too. Everyone's like, what are we talking? I don't know. What does, I don't remember. Fuck. I got distracted. Again, do I have ADHD? Do I have autism? How do I test for this? I don't know. I don't. But what on the shit they were talking about earlier is this. I don't hate anybody. And most of all, I don't hate women. That being said, I'm very pro free speech. And I don't like giving the government more power. And at the end of the day, it's really just an issue of, it's not that people are upset that they can't be sexist or some kind of shit like that. It's people being upset that they don't have a voice, that they can't say, hey, I feel frustrated, hey, I feel hurt, I feel upset, or heck, these kinds of laws will discourage men from going to seek therapy because they'll feel like they'll be charged as being a terrorist for seeking therapy. Or heck, I think the best thing in a society is open civil discussion. And if men feel that they can't just have an open discussion with women, because heck, I don't hate women. Heck, there's multiple women I talk to, especially online. Now, am I going to try to date any of them? No. That being said, it's just cool to have people to talk to. Then again, I'm a lonely person who just likes talking to myself anyway. So, I talk to stuffed animals. I do Let's Plays. But, main point is, like, I don't hate people. But I do understand that a vast majority of women just feel indifferent toward men. I wouldn't say all women hate men. Honestly, I would say maybe only like 30% at best, at the highest amount of women, actually hate men. I would say the vast majority of women probably just feel indifferent, even towards men they even, see as valuable and part of their lives. But, who knows? Maybe I could be wrong on that. It's just, I would say from my point of view, it's that in general, most women do not hate men. It's just that most women just don't care. It just doesn't really concern them. And a lot of times it's just most people just don't care. I mean, heck, it's kind of like the idea of like you hear a story about people starving in Africa or some shit. Most people really don't care. And that's the thing, I really can't blame anybody for that. I mean, why would anybody care about some random dude who just, can't seem to do anything but strike it out with the ladies? But I'll say this. I would say, at least in my opinion, I would say anybody that would count as an air quotes incel is nonviolent. I would say 99% of such people would never hurt anybody in their life. Now, of course, maybe I'm just speaking, from the painted brush that is me. I'm a person who's lived a pacifist my whole life. I've only ever hurt anybody in self-defense or in defense of other people. I mean, anytime I've ever had to hurt anybody, it's always been because I was pushed into a corner. And in general, that's like the main thing people criticize me for, is that they feel I'm very non-confrontational, that I'm not aggressive enough, which, I don't know, maybe that's just my own personality, maybe that's just something that's a quirk of mine I've evolved since my early childhood or something. But aside from my own personality being what it is, maybe I would just be considered a bit of an exception then, just because I'm an exceedingly non-violent person. I do enjoy my punching bag, but I just see that as I enjoy anime and I enjoy trying to improve myself. Granted, I still feel like I'm a failure in every way, and I still can't seem to build any muscle, so I don't think I'd ever make any improvement. Heck, one day I will have a six-pack, and one day I will recover from hamstring tendinopathy, and I'll be flexible again. And also one day I'll have a futa waifu. Everyone's like, God damn it, Looter. It's like, can we get through one video without you talking about how much you would like, a pretty girl with a dick? It's like I don't even know what this video is anymore. It's like, hi, it's a red pill manosphere video. Now it's talking about like Broly and Schindler's List. And now it's just, I like cock. I mean, but I feel like that we're like off topic. Yeah, I feel like we've gone off topic. That's why I should write scripts. But I don't. Heck, even for this shit, I wasn't even planning to fucking say anything. I'm just like, I'm gonna sit here silently and record this. Heck, I've recorded a few videos where I'm just like munching chips and stuff. And I start talking to that stuff too. It's like I feel the desire to commentate. But it's just like, the main point is this. At least from my point of view, I don't think people that, the air quotes, incels, are violent people. I've seen TV shows and dramas and medical dramas, like where they have people that are saying all these evil, hateful things toward women, and it's like these people are made to be the most unlikable people on the planet. I'm like, no one's really that fucking insane, are they? And I'm sure there's probably a few, and heck, there are some people that do go on fucking shooting sprees and shit, whether it's at schools or public places or even targeting certain groups of either races, religions, or genders. Yes, because there are some people that do, like, oh, they'll shoot women bullshit, whatever, which obviously fucked up. I condemn anyone doing violence to any innocent people. I condemn anyone doing violence to women. But at the same time, it's just, I feel like the videos you see, it's like, it's a caricature. It's like, in general, there's got to be some, like, it's got to be, like, impossible for people to be like that. And you're like, but you just gave examples that there were people like that. Yeah, there are people who have gone out and shot people based off the kind of ideology. But I'll tell you this, any of those people already had some other major messed up, fucked up shit wrong with them. So I'll tell you this, those kind of people, even if there wasn't whatever group they were upset against, they would have still done shit. It wasn't that had an issue. It's that there was something fundamentally wrong with that fucking person. They were fucking psycho. Heck, in general, I'd say main reason why violence exists out there in the world is because people don't respect human life. Because here's the thing, I feel like everyone in the world should own a gun, but no one in the world should ever have to use it. Like, I feel like everyone should have the ability to defend themselves, but no one should ever want to harm anyone else, ever. Like, I feel like we all should be able to just watch horror movies and play Halo and drink COVID Mountain Dew, but no one would ever hurt each other. Like, I feel like nobody, like, I feel like it's like the idea, like, no one should ever want to hurt anybody. And that's the thing, like, it's like, I've never killed anyone, and I certainly hope I never do. But if there was ever a situation where I do, it's going to be a situation where I feel I have to or I'll die. It will be in self-defense. It'll be to stay alive. It'll be for the sake of survival. But the point being is that I think it's something that I would hope most people would want to avoid at all costs. Like, why are people okay with hurting other people? And yes, there are times I'll see videos and clips of people hurting, innocent people, and I'll be angry at those people. Like, I'll see footage, like occasionally clips on Twitter of men beating women in the street, usually of us, in association with Muslims or something like that. And again, people could say not all Muslims, who knows? I don't know. All I can say is I keep seeing clip after clip after clip of people beating their wives in public in that situation, and that infuriates me. Because I'll say this, I don't hate women. But at the same time, I see a society that keeps telling me that, oh, all men are bad, and all men are this, and all men are that, and I'm like, it's like, really? If anything, it makes me more disappointed than anything else. Because at the end of the day, like, I'd say that's probably damn it. Okay. Norton had a pop-up, but you guys can't see that. Close. Let me drink water. It's just, damn it, I forgot what I was saying. Damn it, Norton. Why is my memory so sucky? But, fuck, I was saying something. And now I can't remember. But it's just, I don't know. I feel like most people would not do such things. I feel like any of the people that did do such things had some other major fucking things wrong with them. But I was saying something. I feel like I was going to say something important. And then it's just, I got distracted and I don't remember what I was saying. Damn it. I'm trying so hard to remember. Why is it? It's frustrating. Main point is, I'll say this. I condemn anyone who would be violent toward women. That being said, I also see lots of things out there where, there are men being attacked and stuff, and there's no fucking empathy for them. If anything, I'd say that's probably the biggest thing that men have a problem with. It's not that, oh, I'm an incel or whatever kind of bullshit. It's that these men are all alone, and then, they're not being hateful to anyone over being told they're worthless and unwanted. But then, on top of that, everyone starts laughing at them and mocking them for their own sadness. They see that these people are sad and alone and feel relatively hopeless and depressed. And then people just start kicking them while they're down, and they feel all around like everyone hates them. And like they're just... It's just you have people that were already feeling sad and depressed and basically broken. And then rather than, receive compassion, they feel like they're spit on. They feel like they're laughed at. They feel like not only are they told that, that they're hated for it, but also that they're, mocked for being failures for it, or just that even saying, oh, well, because you're an incel, you're probably going to be some violent misogynist or something like that. And I'll tell you this, I would tell you majority of anyone who is not having success at relationships, they are not violent people, and they don't hate anyone. But at the same time, it's definitely going to hurt people's feelings. Just to be like, okay, they're already alone, and now people are laughing at them, spitting on them, and even saying like, oh, this person's the problem with society, and that they deserve to be upset and sad and alone. And that, oh, they must be a bad person. Because again, I would say majority of the red pill people are not misogynistic. I would say I don't think they hate women at all. They do hate laws that they see as corrupt. Laws that usually result in people like losing their families or people getting hurt. At the end of the day, it's mainly just men speaking up and saying, hey, there's this large group of men who either, one, can't have relationships, or the men who do get marriages or relationships get really hurt. And it's just saying, hey, there's all these people that are suffering. Are we not going to listen to them? Are we not going to try to help them? And again, even if nobody helps them, it's still not an excuse for anyone to be violent. But at the same time, it's just, people just want to feel appreciated. People just want to feel cared about. People want to feel like life has purpose. People want to feel like they can succeed at life. I mean, heck, take the whole inflation thing nowadays, or rent, or how it is to buy a house. Or heck, even take the people that are married. Take a married couple right now. A man, a woman, 3 kids. And I know this is probably out of left field, all things considered, given the fact that we're talking about like a single person video here. But here's the thing. Think about your average family that is actually, the man, the woman, and 3 kids. How are they doing on groceries? How are they doing on their electric bill? Are they struggling to get by? How much savings do they have? How much credit card debt do they have? Heck, how many students who went to college still have college debt for degrees they can't do shit with? I mean, at the end of the day is this. Even people that are married and have families, how hopeful do they feel about the future? And that's the problem, whether we're talking the air quotes incel people, or even the husbands who have the wife and children, all that stuff. And even then, I was married once myself, and I'll tell you this. I tend to be a lonely person, but I was never more lonely than when I was married. I still have a 3-inch scar on my right arm to remember last Christmas being married by. I don't regret being married, and I still say the day my son was born was the happiest day of my life, and I will always love him very, very much and always be proud of him. But I'll tell you this. My marriage was hell, and I came home every day to somebody who fucking hated me and made me feel horrible. And I didn't feel safe in my own home, and I got treated very badly. And I went through a lot of bullshit in my marriage, especially the end during the divorce and the whole her doing adultery and all that stuff, and lots of other stuff I've already talked about in depth. But I don't regret that I got married. And I certainly am very happy that I got divorced, that I'm free of that psychopath. I will say this, though. I did my best to try to save that marriage, even after all the adultery and the scar on my arm and all that shit and the issues of how she was toward our son and everything. I still tried to save that marriage. I did everything I could to try to fix it. Heck, even before we went in to see the judge to finalize the marriage and finalize the divorce, I told her, we don't have to do that. She can get a test, make sure she doesn't have STDs. She can stop talking to the other guy. We can try to make a family work. But what can I say? I didn't want to lose my son. Plus, I was a vastly different person back then. One, I tend to have low self-esteem no matter what. That's still true. But I was also still kind of blaming myself for everything. Even the way she was about things. But again, I'm so glad we got divorced. But I did everything I could to stop the divorce, pretty much. I just had to manage collateral damage through the divorce so I could try to keep as much rights as I can to my son at all. In the end, about a week after the divorce, I had to sign my son over to her parents so that she wouldn't kill our child. However, here lately I'm alienated from my son myself. It's funny, I started my YouTube channel because initially after the divorce, my son was coming over on the weekends. And I was very happy for that. I was still extremely sad about everything. I lost my family. I went through a lot of abuse. I got cheated on. And me and my son went through a bit of abuse. I went through a lot of nightmare hell scenarios in my marriage. My marriage was hell. And it's terrible to have someone you trust and you cared about, betray you. For someone you thought you felt safe around to become someone you're terrified of. For someone to be so hateful to you. To have your family basically be taken away. Heck, there was a day I came home and thought my son was dead. Thankfully he wasn't. Would have been a very different life story if that had been the case. But then he started talking and said, "Daddy, I love you, Daddy." So that was a interesting time getting home from work. But I think the biggest issue I have is I look at these red pill manosphere channels and I hear all these stories about men who actually went through so much worse than me. And the problem is this. One, no one should have to go through that at all, but yes, there's people that have gone through worse than me. The problem is most of those people kill themselves. And that's the thing, a lot of times a major benefit of these red pill channels is it does help people. Heck, that's one thing I've always wanted to try to do in my channel, is I want to be able to help people. Now, granted, my reasoning on it is a bit different. I'm more so trying to get people to express their thoughts and feelings in non-violent ways, to express themselves. It's good to express yourself, as long as you're not hurting yourself or hurting anybody else. I'm terrible at singing, but I do karaoke. I want to encourage people to sing, to play guitar, to learn karate, to watch anime, to play video games, to maybe start their own Let's Play channels, even if nobody ever watches, to go to the gym, to go for walks on bike trails, listen to ASMR, try to be more sociable. If other people can, have marriages and make that shit work, good for them, that's awesome. But I see the statistics, I see how a lot of other people are going through so many bad things, both on what I see on the computer, but also what I see in real life. Because that's another thing, they try saying, these red pill channels are radicalizing people, but let's be clear, majority of the people that come across these, channels, they didn't come because, they just happened across it and they never thought about this stuff before. It's that they went through a bad experience and they wanted to find people who could understand how they felt. I'll say this though. I don't think I came across a single red pill video until probably about like 4 years after my divorce was official. I will say this, the last couple months of my divorce was pretty awful. I was still living with my wife, despite her being a psychopath. And, well, like I said, 3-inch scar on my right arm, so that's great. Actually, even tried to kill me in my sleep a few times. So that's... And everyone's like, why would you keep sleeping next to her? And I'm like, at that point, I mean, it's just what I was used to. I mean, I know people would mock me for that. And even then, I was still blaming myself, too. And even then, I knew that, you know, at least in that situation, I was at least there for my son. Whereas if we went straight divorced instantly without, you know, trying to work on things a little bit, then my son would just be alone with her and I wouldn't be able to protect him. And like I said, in the end, about a week after the divorce, heck, I'll tell you this, as fucking dysfunctional and fucked up as my marriage was, my wife and I were still having sex every single day. I think we waited till the day after when I had the scar on my arm. There was also a time I had about a few months before that where, because it was about 6 months or so before we got divorced, that the incident where I got 3-inch scar on my right arm was. Basically, our son was 2. He was playing with his Christmas presents. He was happy. He was giggling. Though he did have a appointment in about a month to have tubes put in his ears, as well as his adenoids taken out. But anyway, he was giggling and happy playing with his presents. And, well, she felt really pissed off and angry about that for some reason. So she started screaming, yelling, cussing, picking up his toys, breaking them in her hands, throwing them into the wall, slamming his toys into the wall, kicking some of his toys hard enough to break them. I mean, she was breaking his toys in her hand, and she was just like screaming and cussing as she threw his toys, slamming them into the wall. Obviously, a 2-year-old is going to be upset at seeing their mom do this. Starts walking toward her. She starts getting angrier. I step in between, and I tell her to please stop. She stopped when she saw the blood. Thankfully, it wasn't deep enough I needed, stitches or anything. But, heck, the back half of the scar is not really that visible from a distance. Heck, I know in one video my right arm was in a video and you couldn't really see it in the video. But I can look at it right now and I can see it plain as day. If I ever do have another partner and they ever notice this scar, I don't know what I'll tell them. So I don't know if I should, admit to that. I mean, heck, I've had depression my whole life, and I never told a single girlfriend. Heck, the whole time I was married, I never even told my wife about being depressed or having depression. But then again, that's something I've had my entire life since before I even hit puberty. Since I was a short person. But it's just, yeah, it was about that was 6 months before we got divorced. So it was like 4 months after the scar thing that, she was openly committing adultery, and a lot more worse things were happening in regards to how she was treating me and how she was treating our son. But of course, at that point, I didn't, due to the men's laws, that I feel are biased against men, which is part of the reason I have an issue with the system and why I do understand a lot of these people. Is because at the end of the day, is due to the way the laws are, I wasn't able to be allowed to really protect my child. At the end of the day, there's nothing, I had no legal rights to do anything under those circumstances. I mean, she would have still been considered the victim, even if she... And even then, at that point, what would have happened? Me trying harder to... Because I even talked to a few police officers about the shit. And They made it clear there wasn't shit I could do about some things. And in the end, if I had tried to do anything, it would have just got my son hurt. And then the day I just wanted to protect my child. I just wanted to be a good father. I just wanted to be a good husband. But, yeah, I'll say this. Me and my, as fucked up as our relationship was, we still had sex every day. I mean, like I said, 6 months before we got the divorce or so, there's a scar thing, so we didn't fuck that day, but we fucked the next day. And then we basically fucked every day for the next 4 months until the last 2 months or so of our marriage, where we were going through a divorce. Basically, she's open committing adultery, and I didn't want to touch her anymore because I felt so fucking disgusted with her. That being said, she still kept begging and asking for sex. Heck, she even tried to force herself on me a few times. And the funny thing is this. After we were officially divorced, it was 1 week after that we had to sign our son over to her parents because it was the only way I could keep her from killing him, because it's just he was so not been getting treated the best in the weeks since the divorce, to the point that it became clear that even with shared custody, my son wasn't going to survive. Then a week after that, the guy she left me for ditched her. And here's the funny thing. As ugly as I am, as poor as I am, the guy she left me for is actually uglier than me and poorer than me. But then 2 weeks after we were divorced, he ditched her. And then a week later, she was actually begging and groveling, literally getting on her knees, begging me to remarry her. I told her no. That being said, she did continue to harass me for a couple of years. Occasionally I'll get a message here and there from her. Honestly, I never want to see or talk to her again. Ever. That being said, for the first few couple of years after the divorce, my son was coming over, spending the night on the weekends, and, we'd sit and watch Paw Patrol, and because he was technically a little past his 3rd birthday, we got divorced. But, though, when he first, air quotes, moved out, I'd spend a few hours a day sitting in his bedroom, talking to his stuffed animals, which I guess isn't as depressing as it sounds, because I tend to talk to myself anyway, whether it be Let's Plays, or walking on the bike trail, or talking to my own stuffed animals. Yes, I'm an adult man who has stuffed animals, okay? I talk to my stuffed animals. I'm just saying this. When he first moved out, I would spend a few hours a day sitting in his bedroom, talking to his stuffed animals. I still do. I usually spend about 15 minutes a day sitting in his room talking to his stuffed animals. Yeah, I still live in the same 2-bedroom apartment. Even though, heck, he still has his toddler bed set up. His bedroom basically looks the way it was when he was 2 years old. And it has been quite a many years. I mean, granted, he's still technically a kid, but he's way too tall to fit in his toddler bed anymore. Then again, you guys have actually seen footage of his bedroom. Basically, because at one point, and heck, I'm still a little concerned about the eventual me paying rent and stuff, because even though I'm working a new job, technically went a few months without work, and, still paying the child support same rate as, so the whole time I wasn't working, I was still paying child support as if I was working. I didn't get a single unemployment check. I didn't receive a single food stamp, and I received 0 government assistance. Let's hope my pride is worth that. The worry that I might not eventually pay rent. But hey, like I said, I'm to work on my new job. My old job, I was working for Skynet building T-800s. Now, most of my other jobs I've done in the past are things like, I chopped wood, I did manual labor, I did babysitting, I worked multiple restaurants. I was even the manager of a restaurant once. I've worked a ton of warehouses and factories. I worked in some construction stuff. I've worked in road paving and sealing. Done some contract stuff here and there. Beyond that, like I said, for quite a while, as I was bitching in a lot of my videos, I was working for Skynet. Now, of course, in some of my old factories, I've worked in warehouses that were actually grocery warehouses where I was inside, negative degree freezers for quite a while in very restrictive clothing. Before that, I spent a couple years working in an electrostatic place. I'm missing about 5 of my back teeth from that, and I need 2 more back teeth eventually cut out of me. Basically, I was breathing and ingesting powder metal and powder paint, so it kept making me vomit, but I wasn't allowed to really get off the line to work. To puke into the trash can. So I was basically re-swallowing my vomit over and over. So I was basically being forced to eat my own vomit, and that's not good for your anything. So I think it may have caused some damages to my internal digestive system as well, whether it was the chemicals or the just being ill all the time. Then I was working like 60 to 70 hours a week at that point, at that place, and I went through a lot of sleep deprivation. And then, of course, when I was working at Skynet, I was working quite a bit. Plus, I was trying to do some more stuff. Then, of course, before that, I was working a job where I was working full time plus some overtime, and I was basically the main caregiver of our son. Heck, I gave my son baths, I changed his diapers, I fed him bottles, I fed him food, I taught him to walk, I tried to teach him to read. I would read him stories all the time. I'll tell you this, I tried to make a video once where I was reading Winnie the Pooh when I first started off on the channel. And I'll tell you this, I'd be so happy and cheerful reading Winnie the Pooh to my son. And then when I read it for that video, I sounded like a fucking demon. I sounded so angry and pissed off and sad. I was so full of anger and grief. I was just so full of grief. I was basically grieving because it's yes, I'm happy my son's alive, and I at least know that, because that's the thing, had I not signed that paper for him to live with his grandparents, his mother would have killed him. Maybe not on purpose, but with the way she was about things, even her own parents were worried about that. Heck, they're scared of their own daughter. Granted, they sometimes have said questionable things to me, which has hurt my feelings, but it's fine. Because at the end of the day, they take good care of my son. He's actually in the best place in the whole world for him. He's happy, he's healthy, he's safe. They love him more than they did their own children. They love him as if he were their own son. Which, on the one hand, I'm happy because he's well taken care of. On the other hand, yes, and I know it's petty of me, but I do feel jealous, I feel angry, I feel upset. I feel a profound sense of loss that, honestly, I don't think I'll ever recover from. I don't miss my ex-wife at all. But one, there's the fact that I have nobody. Granted, I was more lonely when I was married, but it would help if I felt like I had some sort of support. But beyond that is this, I don't miss my ex-wife at all, but the betrayal and the abuse definitely sticks with you. And I'm still... I think I've gotten better. Beyond that, I feel like I lost my family. And it's been years. It's been like 7-ish, 8-ish years since my divorce. It's a 7-ish. I I feel like I lost my family. And it's just, for the first couple years or so after the divorce, my son was coming over to spend the night. We'd watch some Paw Patrol, Blue's Clues. I'd take him to the park, I'd take him over to my parents, I'd take him to the library. I'd make him something to eat. We'd sit in the chair downstairs for a while, and he'd just sit on my lap, and I'd read him stories. And I'll say this, like when I first made the channel, I tried reading it Winnie the Pooh, and I sounded like a demon. It's just all my anger and grief was coming through. Whereas if I was reading my son, I'd be sounding happy and cheerful, and I'd be looking down at him, looking at the pages and smiling, and then looking up at me and smiling. And when my son lived with me, before the divorce happened, technically I had a wife living with me then too. But I'd give my son several hugs a day. I'd tell him every day how much I love him, how much I'm proud of him. I remember being there when he was born. I watched him be born. I took 2 weeks off the job I had then back then to take care of him and his mother. I held him the day he was born. I named him. I still say the day he was born was the happiest day of my life. I love him very much. And he's happy where he is. He's healthy. He has a good life, and that's what I want most. He's my son, and I just want him to be happy and healthy. I just want him to have a good life. I just want him to have a good life. I love him very much. After a couple years of him coming over on the weekends, the COVID pandemic happened, the lockdowns, and then I didn't hardly get to see my son much for a good year and a half. After that, he really didn't come over here very much. For the most part, if I ever went to see him, I'd go over there. Christmas, his birthday, a few other times over there to play at a park near where he lives. But he never really came over here much anymore. I always felt like it was just okay. I know initially at one point he was kind of scared to even go to grocery stores after everything he saw on the news about the whole pandemic stuff. I hoped that if I had been patient, eventually things would go back to normal. Heck, I think that's the biggest thing that upset me when the child support started, is that it kind of killed the illusion for me that one day he would come back to live with me. It was a matter of months after the divorce where I started paying child support to our parents. And I said, I don't mind. I want to be able to take care of my son. It's just, it killed the delusion I had that one day my son would come back and we'd just be a family again. That he would live with me. After the divorce, I was still a bit in denial that I had lost my family. So I still had a hope that somehow things would all work out, and I'd have my son back. And then that killed that delusion and told me, no, this is permanent. This is how life is now. And I said that was the biggest thing for me on that, was just I was in denial. I'll tell you this, it was still a memory that makes me angry. Watching my wife walk out the fucking front door with my son and with another man. I don't think you understand how, one, betrayed that makes you feel, but also how hurt it makes you feel to watch the person you trusted most take your child away from you and then go 100+ miles away, and you're spending every moment worrying about your child. Anyway. Yeah. A week after the divorce was official, our son was signed into her parents so that they would have guardianship of him, which is the best decision I ever made, because had I not made that decision, he would have been alone with her. I don't think I know my son wouldn't have survived. Heck, I'm glad my ex-wife didn't take me up on the offer when I was, like I said, before we went to see the judge, I told her we didn't have to get divorced. And I meant that entirely, sincerely. I'm glad she didn't accept that, because honestly, we probably would have lasted another months or so. We would probably have had another child, and then she probably would have killed me and both the children. So, I've actually had dreams about that. I tend to have a lot of very bad dreams, though she's not in most of them, but that was one pretty vivid dream of a what-if scenario if we hadn't gotten divorced, of us having one more child and then her killing both those children and then me. So again, it was a dream, but still, I felt very emotional about that dream after I woke up. But, yeah, it's just, most of my dreams tend to be about a lot of very different things. Like I told you guys how the comments about the dream where I was like walking around a building where all the walls were covered with a type of moth, such like a white yellow wasp, but it was like apparently it's a tobacco moth. I wrote a story about it in the community posts, but yeah, but yeah, 2 weeks after the divorce, the guy she left me before ditched her. A week after that, she was literally begging and groveling for me to not only take her back, but she was begging me to remarry. I mean, literally begging. And she was desperately asking me to remarry her. She wanted to remarry me. And I was like, no. It's a couple years, my son coming over on the weekends. Lockdowns, like a year and a half of my son, not hardly seeing my son. Then after that, up until a matter of months ago, I was at least still regularly talking to my son on the phone and on face chat, and going over to see him for his birthdays and Christmases, and, you know, go over to spend time with him, even if it was less than it was in the past, and even if it was over there at his place. And then a couple months ago, basically, it just... And again, it wasn't my choice. But at the moment, I'm not really able to even see or talk to my own child anymore. I hope that if I just am patient, it'll get better. But at the same time, part of me feels as if it won't. And it almost makes me feel like I've lost him all over again. I mean, but yeah, at the end of the day, he's still happy. He's healthy and safe where he is. And like I said, they take good care of him. And besides, my mental and physical health have declined, and are probably going to continue to decline. So honestly, even if he were to suddenly live with me, I don't think I really could take proper care of him anymore. He's better off with them than he is with me. One, it's true, and two, it does hurt to admit that. But my own petty feelings aside, I just want him to be happy and healthy. I just would like it if I could see and talk to him more. I mean, I love my son, I'm proud of my son. I'm happy my son is my son. I'm happy to be his father. And I've always done everything I can to be as involved in his life as I can be. But there's always been so many things out of my control. And at the end of the day, I feel like I'm punished for things I have no power over. I miss him. I miss him every single day. Even when I was seeing him, even when he'd come over to spend the night on the weekends, I'd still miss him. I'd watch him laying there in bed sleeping, and I would just think to myself about the future that I had hoped for him, that I had hoped he'd grow up as a normal family with me. Back when I thought my marriage would work out when we were younger, when he was born. That even on the days he'd spend the night, even as I'd see him going down the slide at the park, I would just be thinking about all the days that he wasn't at home. All of the days I couldn't take him to the park. And I know that's a bit of a pessimistic way to look at it. You should just live in the moment, be happy for the time you're spending with him. And don't get me wrong, I certainly was, and I certainly was grateful for every second. It's just, I couldn't help but think about all the time I had lost. That even during the time I had him, I still felt like I missed him so much. I still felt sad and broken over it. But yeah, my new job's doing okay. I do still worry if I'll make enough to pay rent in the future. I mean, I still have enough savings to eat a little bit of costs of things. But I did spend more time unemployed than I had planned. and I had hoped to get a job working in an office or something, but no such job was hiring. Heck, I even applied to railroads and the fucking post office. And there was, like, granted, I probably could have got a job at, like, fucking Walmart or a restaurant day one. But I knew that even if I got that kind of job day one, quitting, I would have never been able to afford. But I probably could have moved on to a different job in the meantime there. It's just, part of me was wanting to spend time focusing on working out. But even then, even with that, I didn't make any improvements at all. I'm still 5'11" and 216 pounds. My body seems to refuse change. Also, I'm pretty sure, yeah, I have hamstring tendinopathy that I don't know if I'm ever going to fucking recover from. But hey, I would like to get a six-pack and, fix the parts of my hamstring that don't like me and be flexible. Main reason I quit the job is, aside from the shit going downhill with my previous job, as well as the fact that that company was having financial issues. More importantly, they kept raising the quotas all the time. I was ingesting like 1,000 milligrams of caffeine a day, and my back, my knees, and my shoulder blades were killing me. Heck, my knees still do bother me. I don't know if maybe there might be some damage in the ligaments that is just gonna be there forever. Then again, I've been in multiple car accidents through my life, and I can still feel certain injuries. But beyond that, I was gonna have a fucking stroke. I was gonna have a heart attack. I mean, my chest was always hurting when I was working my previous job. Because like I said, my previous job, I was working for Skynet. I was building T-800 robots, for the Terminator movie. So I was building T-800s. My new job, you guys ever play the Mass Effect trilogy? Those giant spaceship robots called the Reapers? Yeah, that's what I'm building. I'm building the Reapers from Mass Effect. I'm also occasionally doing some work with the underground stuff out of Full Metal Alchemist. Also like Chakra Tunnels, the Leaf Village. But yeah, the main thing I'm doing is my job is I build Reapers for the Mass Effect games now. I work in another damn factory. Just a very different kind of factory. I would say in general I don't like my job, but at least I need money. I didn't want to have to go to another factory job, but I also don't want to be homeless. I will say this. I at least like this job better than the previous job. But at the same time, I'm not happy. Not happy with my job. But I'm grateful to have a job. So at the end of the day, even if I have to endure something I find a little bit unpleasant, as long as I can still pay my bills, that'll be enough, I guess. Beyond that, but yeah, it's funny. I hear about like people in marriages that are not having sex. I was at least still getting laid all the time when I was married. Except for like the last 2 months in the marriage, because I didn't want to have sex with her anymore. Though she would still want to have sex with me. Even tried to force herself on me a few times. I still think it's odd. 3 weeks after we were divorced, she tries to beg me to remarry her. But anyway, about half a year before the divorce, got that scar on my arm, and then about 4 or 5 months or something before that, I got hospitalized. Technically, it was because she had cheated on me with somebody else, but I didn't know about that person until after the divorce. So, heck, by the time I got divorced, I thought the only person she had ever cheated on me with at all was the person she left me for. Though, technically, she'd only cheated on me with, as far as no one other person. You know, the reason I went to the fucking ICU. But apparently, a lot of other people decided to message me after my divorce, telling me about how my ex-wife had been messaging them and trying to solicit them as well. So, technically only cheated on me with 2 people and left me for the one. The other one was just a one-off thing. That being said, apparently she's like solicited like 50 other people. So that's hilarious. But yeah, I got exposed like mono, which I was not ever exposed to before somehow. But she had been exposed to multiple times when she was younger, and just sort of gotten re-exposed to it. But since, I was a bit older at that point, and also first time ever getting exposed, it's like chickenpox. It's one of those things that if you get as a kid, not a big deal. Besides, mono is one of those things that 90% of the population has, if not 95%. I was just sort of a fluke. Anyway, so I wound up in the hospital for 3 days. I was in the ICU intensive care unit for 3 days. They were pumping me full of so many fucking chemicals. Also, apparently my body was dangerously low on magnesium. I tried to take magnesium supplements, I keep forgetting. Apparently my body's tends to be low on magnesium. As well as other things. Heck, honestly, since that time in the ICU, my testosterone levels basically fucking died. So, basically I was in the hospital for 3 days, the ICU. I had swelling in the brain, swelling in the spinal cord, had meningitis, encephalitis. I also had a fucking spinal tap. That sucked. Spinal taps suck. So. But yeah, we didn't have sex during that time either. For it was like a week. I'll tell you this, the fucking migraine you have after, especially a spinal tap, apparently it's a spinal fluid pressure thing. And the funny thing, it was about a month and a half before, that happened where I had the swelling of the brain, that my mom had 3 strokes and an aneurysm. It was actually around 14-ish years ago, my elder sister died of an aneurysm. So. But as far as I don't think I'm gonna. I'll tell you this, I'll never kill myself. But if I ever do die, it'll probably be a medical thing. So if you guys don't hear from me one day, then I probably just had a heart attack or something. Hopefully that doesn't happen. And if it did, nobody would fucking care. So, whatever. Anyway, my mom had 3 strokes and aneurysm. It was actually a miracle it happened where it did. It happened in public, so, well, at least the first one. Because technically she had a stroke, and then when she got to the hospital, she had more strokes and then aneurysms. So had she not been already at the hospital before that, she would have been dead. It took her about 4 months to make just about a full recovery. So that's good. Heck, about 10 months ago, maybe like 10 and a half months ago, no, not, yeah, 10 and a half months ago, I had a bladder surgery. I had to have the bladder surgery or I was going to die. My internal organs would have exploded. I did not look. I mean, technically, I'd told about it a couple years before. Well, about a year before the surgery. But the original surgery they wanted to do was a lot more invasive. It sounded to me like something out of fucking Hellraiser, so I didn't want to do it. So I kept putting it off as much as possible. And then eventually my condition got worse. And well, they at least suggested a less invasive surgery, which I was still miserable having that. I had a fucking catheter the thickness of a number 2 pencil, because technically they had to do dilation of my urethra as well, in order for the sake of the surgery. So for 49 hours after the surgery, because I'll tell you this, at the surgery, my mom spent 3 days and 3 nights over here to watch over me as I was, air quotes, recovering. And I didn't use medical leave from work. I used actual vacation days. To use 5 vacation days, get a week off work. Anyway, back when I worked at Skynet. The funny thing is, after I went back to work, it was right back to overtime. And they were still bitching at me, saying I can't be allowed to go to the bathroom to go pee because it gets in the way of their profits. I'm like, I am a human being. Let me urinate. I literally just had a fucking surgery. And you are literally not letting me do the thing that's literally to do with my surgery. And you're making me work overtime. And you're expecting me to work balls to the wall, pretty much. Trying to kill me, pretty much. Like I said, I was going to die of a fucking heart attack at that fucking place. Or I was going to punch my boss. Guy was starting to be a jerk about things. That, and also the way I was having to constantly move doing weird torques on my knees. Honestly, I think that's the biggest reason why my knees are fucked at the moment. And I'd hope they would recover during my time off. I even did a lot of jogging. Or like, trying to anyway. I mainly just kept hurting myself more. So I feel like my knees are like that of a 90-year-old man. So I'm not sure. I might have... Because I'm pretty sure like I have hamstring tendinopathy. And everyone's like, you gonna do anything with doctors for that? That's expensive. I'll try to fix it myself. There's plenty of suggested exercises on Google. But that's just fuck. But yeah, just that job was killing me. And I'm not sure if I quit it soon enough. Heck, I worry my body won't be able to handle the new job I'm doing. Heck, I think in general, if I was in my 20s, I'd be able to handle my current job. But between being 37 and, well, the injuries I've taken over the course of my life, especially my previous job, with how it had me put so much torque on my knees and such weird angles and such, quick, weird semicircle movements. I think I'm fucked. And I don't think my body can handle my current job. I'll do my best, but I don't think I can do it. I don't know. I suppose we should listen to the rest of what this dude was saying. But yeah. As far as the video stuff, like I'm the kind of person I want to be able to help people. maybe people listening to my story, maybe other people can relate. And at the very least, I want to encourage people to talk about their feelings. That if there is something that's personal to you, that's upsetting you, like I've had some personal things that are upsetting me that I've talked about, talk about it. Heck, sing terrible karaoke. Even if it's just you singing to yourself, not recording it or nothing, it's just singing. By the way, some other channels I would suggest to you guys: Asmongold, Freelance Astronauts, Proton John. Ultra J-Man's channel is gone, but you can find him playing stuff like, he did a co-op play of a game called How to Be a Complete Bastard with Rob Scout. He also played games like Bonesaw, I Want to Be the Guy, Battle Kid 1, Battle Kid 2. So, funny things. Heck, Gozar did Alternate Reality Dragon Ball Z Abridged. That was funny. Maybe I'll put a clip of that I'll put it in the description. I'll put it in the community posts. Well, but also, sorry I've not really been recording very many Let's Plays anymore. I've just been busy with a lot of things, including work. But aside from work, I'm trying to focus on other things a bit. So, yeah, less me making videos. But, I mean, I have a backlog of like 3,000 plus videos. So, I'm sure there's something you can watch in the meantime. Like, heck, The Perfect Apocalypse. 3 different games, 3 different playlists. Perfect Apocalypse Purgatory Forever. I think that's a really good game. Also, my blind Let's Plays of Spooky Jumpscare Mansion, Resident Evil 7, Jubilee, Nerve, Splasher, Thumper, Deathmark 2, How to Date a Magical Girl, Chaos at Noah. All pretty cool games. Heck, check out my video of Pumpkin Jack, where I broke a puzzle. Or I did a video of Fallout New Vegas where I sent a tumbleweed to the stratosphere, broke physics. I did a video of Noita, where I made a Breaking Bad reference. I played a game called Hollow Arrow where I got jump scared by the VTuber Corone. And I actually was shaking a bit after that. Scared the crap out of me. Heck, my Trepang 2 video. I'll put that one in the description too. I think that was a pretty funny video. My main point is, my encouragement to people is, I encourage people to be nonviolent. I wouldn't want anybody to hurt anybody. And I would say most of these people, including this angry guy dude, he's not encouraging anybody to be violent. At worst, these people just suggest people, hey, just stay home, play video games. Heck, most of them would probably scoff at my solution of, hey, I'm bisexual, so I'm gay now. Because like I said, aside from the way society and the laws are, honestly, I think my ex-wife ruined women for me. Don't be wrong, I still have tried to ask women out and flirted and stuff in public. But in general, it's just... some amount of a psychological sort of trauma with that, to where it's just a lot of negative feelings and negative memories come up with that. And the day, it really doesn't matter what gender somebody is. As long as they're somebody you think is cute and they have a nice personality, that's all that really matters. Because heck, at the end of the day, you just want someone who cares about you, someone you get along with, someone who appreciates you. You just want someone who actually fucking cares. Someone you can feel safe with. Heck, I don't even remember what a fucking hug feels like. But I can tell you this. I have no desire to be violent toward anybody. I don't hate anybody. I mean, maybe I hate heartburn if I eat something too spicy. But in general, I just... yeah. I have no desire to hurt anybody. And unless they're like, I see somebody hurting somebody else, at which point I'm angry because I want to defend somebody else. But beyond that, in general, I really don't care. And like I said, I don't think any of these people would want anybody to hurt anybody either. Nor would I think any of these people would hurt anybody. I think they're just people who are just sounding an alarm bell. Because like I said, it's not about gender stuff at that point. It's an issue about the government. The government's taking powers it shouldn't. And there's no way that can end good. Because in the end, no matter what, such powers like that will get abused by the government. And we'll end up in a situation like Nazi Germany. But I think a lot of people in general nowadays, whether you're the air quotes incel or the person in a family, I feel a lot of people probably feel hopeless about the future. Because even the people in families, they're worried about how they'll pay their groceries. They're worried about the way the economy goes. And heck, what happens if one day we go World War III? Or a nuke goes off? Or what if we have more lockdowns? What if there's another pandemic? Or some other unexpected thing occurs. Everyone just sort of feels like everything's about to collapse, like we're about to have a full-on economic collapse. The end of the fucking world. Then again, maybe I'm biased. I was raised apostolic. So every Sunday was a 3-hour-long church service where the pastor talked about the end of the world and we're all fucking gonna die in a fucking lake of fire and shit. Looking back, I feel that that may have been very mentally unhealthy for somebody to attend a church for 3 hours every Sunday, hearing a sermon over and over about the end of the world. Granted, probably not wrong, you know, the theme of that sermon. But either way, probably not healthy for the human mind to hear that sort of talk over and over again. But what can I say? My politics basically amounts to I am very pro-free speech. I'm egalitarian. I just want to lead a comfortable life. I want a functioning government. I don't want World War III or an economic collapse or nukes to go off somewhere, and then have an entire city burned down by a fucking hydrogen bomb. And that's the thing. A lot of people don't really understand how bad a fucking atom bomb was. And then there's the fact of the matter is this. A hydrogen bomb is so much stronger. There has not been an actual human city hit by a hydrogen bomb, which is much, much stronger than what hit Nagasaki and Hiroshima. I'll tell you this. If there's ever a city that gets hit by a hydrogen bomb, it'll probably qualify as one of the most horrible tragedies to happen in human history. And I guarantee you it'll probably be on every fucking news station. And all over fucking Twitter and all over YouTube. Everyone's be like, oh, look at this angle of footage we got. And on the one hand, I'm like, it's like, oh, it's depressing enough as it is. We're thinking about it, but also you're like, it's bound to happen. I mean, especially with everything that's going on out there in terms of all the countries that are sort of threatening each other. And all the shit going on, and heck, all the politicians talking about crazy shit. Heck, I say, like Donald Trump, I think Donald Trump is the best option we have. I think he's a good man, actually. And I know a lot of people take that as an odd thing, but here's the thing. Everything that you think that makes you hate him, or think of him as a bad person, is just propaganda that was given to you by the mainstream news, by CNN. At the end of the day, when you actually look at the details of everything happened, he hasn't done anything wrong. He didn't incite an insurrection. He didn't do anything wrong. He's just trying to do what's best for the country. And he's trying to avoid a fucking hydrogen bomb going off somewhere. But at the end of the day, I think the Metal Gear Solid thing is something to keep in mind. Though I do like Asmongold's idea of having Trump and his family, mainly Trump though, play the Metal Gear Solid games. But I think it's something worth noting that in the end, the president really doesn't have all that much power. And I feel that even if we had suddenly benevolent politicians who didn't tell lies and who only wanted to do what was good for people, I feel like what's coming, it can't be stopped. I feel like there's going to be a hydrogen bomb that's going to go off some major city sometime in the next 2 years. Maybe sooner. And when that happens, everybody is going to lose their fucking collective shits. You're going to see people rioting in almost every major city. You're going to see people storming Walmart. You're going to see people treating each other so badly. Maybe out of panic, maybe out of fear. But at the end of the day, after the fucking hydrogen bomb goes off, probably in the next year, after that, even if it's just a singular hydrogen bomb, the amount of people that'll die because of the way people react to it will probably outweigh the casualties from the bomb itself. I don't really have a lot of hope for the future on how people are going to be. Maybe it's just the constant hearing bad things on the news. But I worry about the future of this world. And I also worry what kind of world my son's going to grow up in. But yeah, my main advice to everyone out there is this. I don't want anyone to be violent to anybody. If you can, be a pacifist. I'm not saying not to fight at all no matter what. Obviously, if somebody tries to hurt you, I want you to defend yourself. I want you to defend others. I want you to do whatever it takes to survive. But at the same time, I just want everyone to live peacefully. Beyond that, listen to some good ASMR. Get some good sleep. Go to the gym. Make some more friends if you can. If you can find a loving relationship, that's good too. Play some video games like the original Mass Effect trilogy. That's a good game. Heck, Freelance Astronauts did some mods with that, and it's also pretty cool and funny. But I'm just saying, the most important thing when I was young that I wanted to be when I grew up was I wanted to be kind. I remember even being a little child praying to God that I'd be able to be a kind person. Because even then I saw a lot of people mistreating other people. And I didn't like it. Heck, I use movies like Hellraiser and video games like Demonophobia as thought experiments, as psychological case studies, as proofs for my hypothesis that hell is unjustifiable. And yes, I know a lot of people would feel that's a bit unorthodox. But then the day is this. Do you have any idea how weird it is? How weird it is to hear people who are going to church who act like they're such good people to then speak with full confidence and gladness about hell and how, the sinners will go to hell and all this shit. Like, how can you feel anything but disgust when thinking about something like that? How could it ever be justifiable to torture someone for eternity? How could something so cruel, so sadistic, be considered something allowable? How could it be anything other than just gross and disgusting? And heck, I've talked to some preachers and pastors who won't watch Nightmare on Elm Street because they think it's gross and disgusting. And yet they think it's perfectly fine to have a hell where people are tortured for eternity, and that's perfectly okay. It's just, I choose to have enough faith in God to think that God would not be like that. Because here's the thing, at the end of the day, and I've done enough to look into stuff in the Bible to at least rationalize it in a way that God would not do such things, and to explain certain things as hell not being what other people expect. A lot of what people see hell as is like Dante's Inferno type stuff, or what you see on the TV. Even a lot of things like the rapture doctrine didn't come around until like 100 years ago. And heck, at the end of the day, a lot of preachers and pastors, you guys might find this surprising, but a lot of preachers are not the best of people. They tend to do debaucherous things. They tend to do stuff with money. They tend to commit adultery. They tend to have certain very sordid pasts. Many pastors have skeletons in their closets. Many pastors have done terrible things. Many pastors just enjoy being pastors for the sake of being able to have a group of people hanging on their every word. Like they see it as a control. So it's like a feeling of control. Others just care about money. It's just greed or vanity. Heck, there are some pastors that just wanted to eventually be able to lead a cult. Others do it because they legitimately themselves believe in hell. And they think if they push themselves entirely into their work, they could save themselves from hell. Others, like I said, do it for money. And some do it because they have dreams of being televangelists. I don't really judge them. I still think they should at least go to a heaven. And in the day, they're not really bad people. Just misguided. Heck, they probably think that it's in the right, and who knows? They'd probably say the same about me, the way I feel about things. All I'm saying is this. I just want everyone to be able to get along. I want people to stop hurting each other. I suppose my own personal life, I don't know, would want to make some improvements. Want to be able to build some muscle. Want to not be fat. Want to not be in pain all the time. Want to not feel tired all the time. Want to have someone who cares about me. Want to maybe not have to work in a fucking factory for fucking ever just to not be homeless. But right now I want an ice cold Pepsi. Right, I should finish this video. But that's just... I feel like the world is on the verge of World War III. And I feel like no matter who's president, it's not stopping. Now I feel Trump would be the one to do the best to try to avoid it. And I think he would legitimately want to avoid the war. But that day I feel like no matter who's president, no matter who's in charge of the American government anymore, I feel like the war that's coming is coming. I feel like World War III and nukes landing in major cities is unavoidable. And as morbid as it is, when it happens, I'm gonna go out my front porch drinking a Pepsi and trying to see if this night sky looks any different at night afterward. Okay, I've talked long enough. I'm sorry. I just felt I wanted to chime in. I just wanted to say this. The people in these red pill channels do not advocate any sort of violence. They're just people that are trying to help people. Same way I want to help people. Except my way of helping people is I make videos mainly for myself because I just like making videos. I like Let's Plays. And I like singing. And it's mainly for my own emotional benefit. But let's be clear, I'm a tsundere. I'll never admit that I care about the viewers or people enjoying a video. Not that I can say my videos are very enjoyable. It's whatever random thing I'm doing at that time. But yeah, I'm definitely a tsundere. And I imagine most of these fucking red pill guys would probably not want to have anything to fucking do with me. Because at the end of the day, it's like, they're all like, hey guys, we're gonna go monk or passport bro or travel the world or, I don't know, become Elon Musk or become Henry Cavill or something. And like my solution is like, hey, I want a girlfriend with a dick. And big boobies. Like Sylvia from Konasuba. Yes, I would have a 9-foot tall futanari waifu if I could. But the damn square cube law of physics. So yeah, it's like, I feel like everyone in the red pill community would be like, it's like if they ever even knew I existed, they'd be like, well, this guy's insane and he's too gay. And I'm like, I mean, that's not inaccurate. Oh, that reminds me of another really funny channel. You guys ever hear of iLulu? It's a really cool VTuber. Also ACDVR and Line Chew and Shy Lily and Zentreya and Sare and Gura. I know I already mentioned Asmongold, but I want to mention him again too. He's funny. Heck, Rev says Desu's pretty cool. Heck, his wife, Darling Straub. I wrote a video. I made a video called "All the Neckos Are Meowing for Head Pats." It's a parody of Sweet Dreams, and I was inspired to write that song. It's a comedy song about cat girls, and I wrote that song. I was inspired to write that song and sing it terribly by Darling Straub. Yes, I was inspired to write a comedy romance song by Rev Says Desu's wife. To be fair, I didn't know about Rev Says Desu at that time, and I also didn't know Darling Straub was married to anybody. And even when I initially heard of Rev, I didn't even know he was married. I thought he was a single guy. And I didn't even know he even knew Darling Straub. And then I eventually found out they were fucking married. I'm like, that's hilarious. I also have the world record for the deepest floor in the Binding of Isaac Repentance. Infinite Basements. It took me a couple months, like 40 hours in game. It's a 3-minute long video. You just type in the number 9000 on my YouTube channel. You get it? But yeah, also grinded 9,000 plus deaths in Crash Bandicoot 4. But yeah, I went to floor 9,000 in Binding of Isaac. Also, I would suggest a video I made called "It's Happy, It's Jolly, It's Good." So what was the things I wanted to... do I have anything to write with? Why? Just gotta type it up here. What was it? Okay, it's happy, it's jolly, it's good. What was the memory? Why must you struggle? Alright, alternate reality. Reality Dragon Ball Z. What was the third thing I wanted to share? I don't know. Oh, I did some playthroughs of Super Meat Boy. Yeah, but that wasn't what I was going to share. Trepang? I mean, sure, but no. It's number 2, not a letter E. Meat Boy. What was the other thing I was thinking about sharing? I can't remember. I don't know. But yeah, that's the main thing is just... I don't think any of these red pill guys would hurt anybody. And they certainly aren't trying to encourage anybody to hurt anybody. I think it's just a group of people trying to help each other. They see people... They look at it like there's lots of men that are going into terrible divorces, losing their families. And they're just warning people about the dangers of it. They're warning people about things, and they're also trying to help people that say, hey, if there's people that are, say the air quotes, incels, just trying to tell them, hey, don't be so hard on yourself. Everybody's struggling nowadays with a date. And also tell them, hey, there's things you can do to improve yourself. And even if you don't get a date out of it, you can make your life better. But the main thing, they're just trying to tell people that there's somebody out there that understands you. There's somebody out there that cares. There's somebody out there that's telling you that you're not doing a bad job, that wants to encourage you to keep going, that even if fucking World War III happens, you can keep going and you can still have a happy life. That you can have an understanding of what this modern world is like, and through that, you can find peace and maybe eventually love, maybe eventually purpose, maybe happiness, maybe resolution. I don't know. I'm gonna let this guy talk, and I rambled for quite a while. Almost 2 hours. Sorry I'm so boring, everybody.
With the mothers of his children. Think about that very carefully. This is the reason why I said that the authority over women transferred, not just the authority over women, but the authority over women and children transferred from men to the state. You don't own your children. Your children are the property of the state. And the woman that you're in a relationship, women don't seem to comprehend this. They are not as free as they believe they are. Okay? The authority that men once held over women is now held by the state. Women have special privileges while men have special punishments. However, those privileges can be taken away at any time. And that's something that women don't comprehend. They do not comprehend that one bit. You know, they chose the state. They traded in men for the state, just like women traded, black women in the 1960s traded in their men for public assistance. And now, as some of them are beginning to see that it's possible that they can lose.
I know I said I wasn't going to say anything. And I know there's no chance this game could ever run on my computer. But what is this game? It looks so cool. It looks like it would be so fun to play. What is this game? If you know what this game is, tell me in the comments. Because this looks really fun. I want this game. Whatever it is, I could probably get on my PlayStation, put on wishlist, and then buy it whenever it's on sale. But this looks so fun.
Lose access to these privileges that they so enjoy. Now some of them are turning around and saying, men and women need to work together. Guys, I told you that this was going to happen years ago. I called it years ago that women would say, feminism got us everything that we wanted. Now let's fight it together. And of course, while the label feminism may go away, the legacy of feminism will live on. This is why I've warned you constantly, stop attacking feminism. Feminism is just a straight ideology. Feminism didn't do a damn thing. It was people themselves that took the ideology and used it for their purpose while screaming it's just about equality, when it absolutely was not. So how can you blame feminism? Feminism did not do any of these things. Women are simply hiding behind feminism. The women who did these things and created these policies and are putting these ideologies out there, they're the ones who are hiding behind the label to hide their hate. So we need to move beyond the label. Stop going after feminism. Stop blaming feminism. Instead, focus on the individuals that are putting the message out there. Focus on the people.
I don't know. My advice to everyone is listen to cool music like Linkin Park and System Down and Disturbed and Korn and Metallica and A Perfect Circle and Tool and Smile Be Soul and Malmsteen and Pink Floyd and Tiamat. And there's so much nightcore music on YouTube. Heck, there's this girl who plays like a hurdy-gurdy, and she does like stuff like Judas Priest. That's really cool. Sorry. Just music's cool. You guys ever listen to very much Tool? Oh, there's also Rammstein and Ice Pressure. Those are cool bands.
People that are saying these things, that's how you deal with it. And I understand that it's hard to do this, but it's very important, and it's critical that we do this. Women chose the situation for themselves. They chose to turn on men. They chose to say that, hey, we don't like you, we don't want you, and we don't need you. So now the individuals who chose to put this out there and chose to go down that path need to be held accountable and face consequences for those choices. And for them to face those consequences, men have to allow them to be held accountable. For them to be held accountable, we must stop putting blame on an ideology and hold the individuals themselves accountable. We need to stop saying feminism or feminist, and we need to say women, okay? We need to show them an extraordinary amount of respect by confronting them head on and saying, you are the one who said these things. We're not going to talk
I think I'm going to get some Taco Bell.
about feminism, because this is not feminism. This is women. These are women who are saying these things, women who have made these decisions. Feminism is not to blame for any of this. This is all the individual themselves. And when you confront them like that, they are left, they're basically exposed. And there's not much else they can do, because now the direct blame and accountability will be placed upon them themselves. There's a video I have from Andrew after he got out of prison again, because he was put in prison again, you know, and he basically talks a little bit about the situation that has transpired. And I find it kind of interesting, because this is an ongoing thing. It's been going.
Is that a fucking Minecraft tree? Like, I understand, like, there's, like, realistic... I'm pointing at the trees, but you guys can't see me pointing. Like, these trees right here, they look okay. I'm going to rewind a little bit. It's fucking Minecraft trees. Is it Minecraft? Like, there's realistic trees in the background. But the trees that are up close look like they're out of Minecraft.
They're basically exposed. And there's not much else they can do, because now the direct blame and accountability will be placed upon them themselves. There's a video I have from Andrew after he got out of prison again, because he was put in prison again.
I still say I want to see Raging Golden Eagle and Merry-Go-Round make a remake of Pokemon, the original Pokemon. You know, Indigo League, Kanto League, Orange Island Leagues, the original movie of Mewtwo, and the Pokemon 2000 movie with Lugia, which came out like 24 years ago. Actually, almost 25 years ago. Also, the original Pokemon soundtracks for the first 3 Pokemon movies were really awesome. If you guys ever get the chance, I suggest listening to the Final Fantasy IX soundtrack. Heck, the Final Fantasy VIII, all the Final Fantasy are really cool soundtracks. Final Fantasy VIII, really cool soundtrack. Also, Final Fantasy IX. I really liked Final Fantasy IX. But yeah, Bruce Faulkner soundtrack from Dragon Ball Z is pretty cool. Oh, Bubblegum Crisis Tokyo 24. Like a really cool anime is Bubblegum Crisis Tokyo 2040. The Slayers, Alina and Verse. It's from like 1995. Appleseed from 1988. That's a good movie. Oh, Ghost in the Shell. That's a lot of good anime. Dot Hack Sign. The intro song to that's pretty cool. Also, you ever play the game Zone of the Ender Second Runner? The intro song to that, Beyond the Bounds, a really cool song. Especially the way they remix it for the actual intro cutscenes for the preview of the game, which definitely spoils a bit, but honestly, it's really, really cool. I like video games. That does remind me, I really enjoyed playing Mario 1 and Mario 3 and Crash Bandicoot 2 and Spyro the Dragon with my mom. Granted, my mom played a bit of Robo Warrior, so I don't know, I enjoyed sitting, and I have fond memories of sitting and playing video games with my mom. I also would sit in the kitchen when my mom was cooking, and I would talk to her. So, I mean, granted, I do have some disagreements with my mom on some things, but I love my mom very much. I'm glad she didn't die from those strokes. But I also know that eventually there will come a time. But I hope it doesn't come for a very long time. Because whenever it does, I'll miss her very, very much. Alright, that's really cool. Music. I was talking about music, wasn't I? Yeah, Final Fantasy IX. That's a really cool soundtrack. I really like Final Fantasy IX. Oh, Pokemon. Raging Gold Eagle. It'd be cool if you like remake the first like Kanto, Indigo, Orange Island leagues, but Ash can be like 20 years old, and Misty's 20 years old, and Brock's 23, and Jesse and James are like 26. So like everyone's a bit older, and Jesse and James are still common comedic villains like they are normally. Though in general the story can be a bit more mature. Now I don't want it to be a hentai, and I don't want it to be like Berserk in terms of blood. I just want it to be like One Piece or Bleach levels of maturity. And then after the situation where Jesse and James sacrifice themselves in the second Pokemon movie with Lugia, I want them to stay good guys from that time on. And I want them to become full-fledged protagonists. And I want them to be not only legitimate good guys, but I want them to be protagonists, and I don't want them to be comedic. I want them to be straight, serious people. I don't want them to be played for fucking jokes. And I want them to be best friends with Ash Ketchum. And yes, I thought Jesse from Pokemon was hot. But anyway, I'm just saying, Jesse and James could be best friends with Ash, and they could be traveling together. And then Giovanni, the rest of Team Rocket, could be more of a dark, serious villains. Non-comedic as well. But yeah, some good video games I'd suggest. On the NES, there's Robo Warrior, Dragon Spirit, Swords and Serpents, Castlevania 2, Simon's Quest, Mario 1, Mario 3. Granted, those games didn't exist back then, but Battle Kid 1, Fortress of Peril, and Battle Kid 2 Mountain of Torment. I enjoyed watching Ultra J-Man play those back when YouTube began. He also did I Want to Be the Guy. Anyway, Sega Genesis, there's like Desert Strike, Powerball, Columns, Space Harrier 2, Vector Man 1, Vector Man 2, Kid Chameleon, Zero the Kamikaze Squirrel, all of the Sonic the Hedgehog games. Sonic 1, Sonic 2, Sonic 3, Sonic Spinball, Sonic 3D Blast. Heck, Shining Force 1, the original Shining Force. I'll say this. I only liked the first Shining Force game and the fifth Shining Force game. Then on the PlayStation, there's stuff like Sonic Shuffle. You had all the Final Fantasies, including Final Fantasy Tactics. You had Crash Bandicoot 2 and 3. You had the original Spyro the Dragon. You had the Gex Enter the Gecko 3. Deep Cover Gecko. You had Croc Legend of Gobos. You had Jersey Devil. There's Chiquito. There's the best game ever made for the PlayStation 1. Brave Fencer Musashi. You also have Mega Man Legends. I still want a Brave Fencer Musashi 3 and a Mega Man Legends 3. Beyond that, on the PS2, the best game ever made for PS2 was Shining Force 5, also called Shining Force EXA. Also Dragon Quest 8, though I liked the alternate ending they added in for a DS version of the game. It's a shame that wasn't in the PS2. What can I say? Jessica from the game was really sexy. Let's see. Also, I think Albedo from Overlord is really hot too. Imagine a DBZ fusion of Albedo from Overlord and Roll Casket from Mega Man Legends. I think in terms of physical appearance and personality, really awesome. I farted. Everyone's like, we didn't need to know that. Like, yes, you did. Let's see. Oh, did you know Marvel vs. Capcom is coming? 2's coming out on Steam in about a week. I won't be able to buy it because it'd be too expensive, but I'm gonna watch other people play it. Be funny. You guys remember the Senran Kagura games? Those are really cool. Oh, what about Nekopara? That's a good one. Alright, on the PS2. There's also Grandia 3. There was Star Ocean Till the End of Time. And also probably the most immersive video game ever played, Dot Hack Infection, which is a video game that the beginning of that game starts story-wise at the end of Dot Hack Sign. Also, each of those games came with an anime OVA DVD. So that was really cool. I really liked the original Halo trilogy. That was a lot of fun. Sorry, I got distracted. My bad.
And he basically talks a little bit about the situation that has transpired. And I find it kind of interesting because this is an ongoing thing. It's been going on for now a couple of years. And it's quite interesting.
Seriously, what is the name of the game he's playing? It looks fun.
That a lot of this started as we began preparing for the next election. Guys, it's all about influence and control. Our society does not want a group of well-informed individuals. They don't want you to be well-informed. They want you to be obedient little workers.
Do you have any?
You're told, do not ask questions.
It is so tempting to play the Rickroll song right now. Or Banana Phone. Bring, Banana Phone. Ba-doop, 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 ba-doop. Or, the Badger song. Badger, 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 mushroom, mushroom, badger, 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 badger. It's a snake. Everyone's stop it. Stop being silly. I can't help it. Heck, I made a couple silly videos. I made a video called What's a Conscience, where I made a silly video about Nathan Explosion from Def Clock being a person's conscience. It's 30 seconds long. There's also another 30-second long video where I have a half-naked woman strangled from a fucking ceiling by demonically possessed vines. While I talk about E is for pants. Yes, it's a fucking erection joke. E. Erection. E. The erection starts with the letter E. E is for pants. A is for ass. B is for balls. C is for clam hat. D is for lysdexia. E is for pants. Ham salad is for lunch. Z is kind of a useless letter, but we like it anyway. Okay, whatever. Ow. By the way, my left hip is hurting. Granted, that's from one of my car accidents. I've been in a lot of them. I've been isekai'd multiple fucking times. I didn't die, I just got hurt really fucking bad. I had one where my left... No, that's a different one. My right hip hurts. Yeah, it's my right hip that fucking hates me right now. I guess Advil will come in handy tomorrow. Like I said, I've told you guys, there was a time where I was in a tiny little blue truck, and I was sitting in the passenger side, my mom was in the middle, and my dad was driving, and we got T-boned right in the passenger side. My mom leaned over me and got a big scar on her forehead protecting me. I probably would have died had she not done that. I will say this, I did feel a little bit emotionally upset, because when I was looking at my mom, I could see her skull. I could actually see the white of the bone of her skull. I could see actual color white, because she got hit in the head hard enough, part of, the skin moved, and I could see her actual bone of her skull. And seeing your mom like that makes you... It was not a pleasant feeling. Beyond that, there was a time I got hit by a truck myself. It was going 75 miles per hour. T-boned right on my driver's side. Thankfully I was driving alone, but... I couldn't move my left arm for 2 fucking months. All my ribs were as bruised as possible without being broken. I had a dozen fucking staples across the left side of my skull. Even with Vicodin in my system, I was still in pain. And I had so many bruises from my waist to my feet. Just purple and black that felt like the texture of a fucking basketball. That fucking hurt.
worry about what's going on behind the curtain. There's nothing behind there for you to worry about. There's nothing behind there for you to discuss. All right? Simply do as you are told and be quiet. That's what they want. That's what they've always wanted. They want your silence. You have to understand, guys, this is the society that we were raised in. This is the society that we were conditioned in. And who are the ones to blame? Very much so. The BOOMERSs. Boomers. All right? They're the ones who did this to us.
I remember those guys from the Fallout games. Yes, haha.
You can watch the extended version of this video in the Angry Guy Clubhouse. So you can head over to the Angry Guy Clubhouse to watch the extended video, which is actually going to be quite a bit longer than this. And you can actually go over to you can actually find the Angry Guy Clubhouse linked in the description of this video. You should also see something pop up on your screen that may take you there as well. And you can go and watch the video over there. It's pretty lit, guys. But I mean, it's absolutely insane what's going on right now. The boomers chose this. They created this reality for us, and now we have to live in this miserable dystopia. It's a miserable dystopia, and it's a dystopia that was created and shaped for us.
But I have ice cold Pepsi. So does that help? Let's see, we have a Gray Still Plays video. It's a bunny. It's a kitty cat. 5 signs your cat doesn't love you. Raging Golden Eagle. More Gray Still Plays. Gray Still Plays is hilarious. So, well, I feel like every time I make a video, I make a new, most boring video ever made. Ow, my right arm as well hurts. Ow. Some of the things I'll tell you this, some of the things I do at work require a bit of odd lifting and weird positions. Thankfully, I'm still not doing this stupid bullshit with my knees I was doing in the previous job, but I'll tell you this, it's very awkward having to go up and down a ladder sometimes. It's not often, but I don't like heights. I don't. Okay, bye.